Hi, you're on the Retelling Films channel, and this is a retelling of the film, ACIDE. A teenage girl makes her way with her bickering parents through a country in panic and unrest. The journey is complicated by terrible storms that turn into torrential acid rains that eat away at everything in their path. The film begins with a vertical video of factory workers preparing for a revolt, all because of safety violations that injured their colleague Karine. The uprising is led by an ordinary worker named Mikhail, but the plant's management is unwilling to listen to the dissatisfied workers, and the class conflict between workers and management turns into an active confrontation. The management involves the police to calm down the workers who have started a riot. Thanks to the efforts of his colleagues, Mikhail's beating by a police officer is posted on the internet. In the next scene, Mikhail visits Karine, who is lying in bed recovering from surgery on her broken legs. The man accompanies her to the hospital for another operation, discussing plans for the future. After serving time for beating a police officer, he will move in with Karine. Meanwhile, in the stables of the equestrian boarding school, where teenagers are taught to ride, Mikhail's daughter, Selma, feels uncomfortable because the other children are watching a video on YouTube of her father beating a police officer. One of the girls calls him a psycho, and Selma doesn't hesitate to smear horse manure on her face. Elise, Selma's mother and Mikhail's ex-wife, together with her brother Bryce, take the girl out of the orphanage. The principal clearly hints that he has been looking for a reason to get rid of the troubled teenager for a long time, but so far he has gotten off with a stern warning. Elise takes her daughter home, but she wants to see her father and goes to him. Mikhail shows his daughter his fashion accessory, a house arrest bracelet on her leg, which needs to be periodically smeared with cream to prevent it from rubbing her leg. The daughter says that she doesn't want her father to move in with Karine, but he has already made up his mind. A sad girl watches a report about a mysterious storm that is having a detrimental effect on the ecological situation in South America, leading to the extinction of all kinds of livestock. The next day, all the characters in the movie go about their business. Mikhail goes to work in a hardware store, Selma goes to an equestrian boarding school, and Elise goes to the nursing home where she works as a nurse. All of them are united only by the rain falling over the city. In the evening, Elise notices rainwater leaking into the house through a loosely closed window. She puts a towel in the puddle, not noticing that it is covered with suspicious spots. Another day passes, and Mikhail and her colleagues inspect the roof of the warehouse, where hollows have formed after the rain. Elise watches the weather forecast, which promises heavy rainfall. Worried about her daughter, she calls her ex-husband to help pick up Selma, who's going on a horseback ride in the woods with her classmates. During the ride, Selma is unable to handle the horse, and the teacher leaves the upset girl next to the horse tied to a tree. At this time, the parents arrived at the boarding school. While Elise is looking for her daughter, Mikhail listens to a radio warning about a mysterious natural phenomenon, acid rain. Alarmed by the news, the citizens panic. When they learn that their daughter is out hiking, the ex-spouses drive to a forested area where storm clouds are gathering. Realizing that the storm is about to begin, Mikhail pulls into an empty oncoming lane, picking up Elise. He turns into the field to take a shortcut. Selma sees the first smoking raindrops falling from the sky. Horses without riders, mad with pain, are rushing towards them, and a horse with a tether is trying to break free. The girl runs along the path away from the impending storm. Her parents reach a wooded area behind which is a stable. Mikhail continues to run on foot, shouting and making noise to find his daughter. When they meet, they barely have time to hide from the deadly rain under the roof of the stable. Mikhail calls Elise to come to the exit, and then, covering himself with a tarpaulin, runs with his daughter to the car. After a while, they get on the road, but there are a lot of cars which have created a traffic jam. Road service workers are running between the cars, not spared by the acid rain. They want to get into the car, but the protagonists won't let them in. When one man opens the side door of the car, Mihail kicks him out, ordering Elise to drive away from there off-road. When Elise arrives at the parking lot of the supermarket, she calls her brother Bryce, who is not happy that her sister's ex-husband is coming with them. But he can't do anything about it, throwing rags over the car to provide some protection from the acid rain. The ex-spouses and their daughter set off on the road. But at night, in the middle of the highway, the car, damaged by caustic acid, breaks down and won't start. After struggling to break open the jammed door and pulling Selma out, the three head to the nearest cafe. When they enter the cafe, they see that no one is there. Only tables are set up for some kind of celebration, and a local cat left behind by the staff. After calling Karen, the man looks around the place. It occurs to him to make reinforcements for shoes out of baking molds. He also checks the water from the tap for toxicity by holding a plastic container lid underwater. When he notices a cat, Mihail pours water into the container to check if the water supply is poisoned. His daughter catches him doing this and ends the experiment. After eating what he could find in the cafe's drawers, Mihail begins to modernize his daughter's shoes. He tapes a baking dish to her shoes with duct tape. When Mihail returns to the kitchen to get the baking tins, he notices that the container the cat had been drinking from is deformed by the acid. Later, the former spouses begin to argue, which after a while escalates into a heated quarrel, despite the daughter's pleas to stop. When the adults have gone to bed, Selma goes to the kitchen and sees a blood trail on the floor, and when she goes further, she sees a dead cat that was killed by acid from the inside. Accepting the cat's death, she returns to her mother and goes to bed. In the morning, they continue their journey, and there are many other people on the road, refugees like them. All the people come to the bridge, where they form a crowd controlled by the police. The policemen let small groups of people cross the bridge so that the ropes, damaged by the rain, do not collapse under the load. But the crowd tries to break through the bridge, pushing back the police phalanx. In the stampede, Mihail and Selma fall behind Elise, who is allowed to go ahead by the police. They tell her not to linger, and they use tear gas themselves. On the way to the other side, Elise sees the bridge begin to collapse. She wants to go back, but people in a hurry push her against the fence, which causes the fence to break, and Elise falls into the acid-filled river. Selma runs to the shore to help her mother, but in vain. She swims to the shore with her last strength, burning in the acidic water until her strength finally fails her. At the last moment, Mihail manages to grab his daughter, who has gone mad with grief, and drag her away from the dangerous river, the current of which carries Elise's body further and further away. In an organised refugee camp, Mihail calls Karen to exchange news. Before the connection is cut off, he learns that she is being transferred to another hospital. He tries to call Bryce, but he does not answer the phone. From the soldiers, the man learns how to get to Antwerp, where Karen is, as a convoy of refugees is going there. Mihail informs his daughter that her uncle Bryce is not answering his phone, so they will go to Karen. Selma is not very happy, but still agrees. The convoy of trucks drives through the forest, where it stops. The road is blocked, and they have to walk the rest of the way. As the refugees walk, clouds begin to gather overhead. The rumble of thunder spurs people on, and they start running to avoid getting caught in the rain. Mihail and his daughter hurry along with everyone else, but the exhausted daughter stumbles and falls, throwing a nervous tantrum. After picking her up with difficulty, the man notices that they have fought off a group of refugees. They find a bunker left over from World War II. There is a large enough hole in the concrete wall of the bunker to crawl through. Wandering through the dark tunnels, Mihail and Selma come out of a bunker, which turns out to be part of a sewer. When the rain stops, they continue on their way. The girl notices that her father is limping. His bracelet has rubbed his leg. After crossing a field, they reach a village. Mihail knocks on doors, but no one answers. They are walking down the street when the girl begins to cry and miss her mother. Unable to help, the father continues to look for shelter but suddenly falls unconscious. Seeing movements in the window, Selma screams for help. Mihail comes to his senses at home, where they are being sheltered by Deborah, the mother of a small sick boy. She doesn't like visitors, especially those with a house arrest bracelet on their leg. The woman offers to help Mihail with his leg, but he is more interested in recharging his phone. Mihail warns her that they don't plan to stay long. They are expected in Antwerp. Meanwhile, Selma finds the medical device in the acid-stained room, which begins to emit an alarm. Furious, Deborah asks them to leave, but before she does, Mihail offers to help her by moving the dialysis machine from the second floor to the basement. After connecting the device, the woman thanks them and offers them to stay overnight in a safe garage. But she can't share food and water. She saves enough for her and her son. Then Mihail takes an axe and knocks down the door of the neighbour's house to find food, since no one lives there anyway. He then listens to a message from Karen and prepares a place to sleep in the garage pit. Over dinner, Mihail and Deborah talk, and he doesn't like the disapproving looks of the woman who won't let her son help himself to their food. She despises their looting even to survive. Mihail repeats that in the morning they will leave, and he advises Deborah to leave as well, because the building is already falling apart. For the night they go to different places. Mihail and his daughter lie down in the garage pit, and Deborah and her young son lie down in the basement. Fearing strangers, Deborah locks the door from the inside. In the middle of the night, acid melts the plumbing, and rain from outside falls through the cracks. Toxic fumes enter through the ventilation system and fill the basement. When Mihail wakes up from the rain, he notices that acid fumes are forming along with the acid rain and wants to warn Deborah. But the closed door is in the way, and she doesn't hear the knocking on the door. As the house begins to collapse from the fog that has eaten away at the walls, the man drags his daughter into the garage where the car is parked. Selma does not want to leave Deborah with her son, but Mihail decides otherwise. He starts the car and drives out on the road. In a thick, poisonous fog, almost impossible to see where to go, the onboard computer decides that the driver has lost his way and stops the car. Mihail taps the dashboard, and the onboard computer reboots. He pulls into a field and drives away from the toxic fog. As he drives away, he stops to collect his thoughts, but is distracted by his daughter's hysterical questions, which cause him to have a nervous breakdown. The man goes out to get some air and look around, not noticing that his daughter has finished crying and is running away. Around it, there is a farmer's field which receives water from a local water pipe, turning the area into a real acid swamp. Mihail notices that his daughter has run away, and she in turn realizes that she is stuck in the middle of the acid and starts calling for help. The man drives across the field to answer his daughter's cry, but the car gets stuck in the mud. After struggling to get out of the car, Mihail continues on foot. After taking his daughter from the watering can, Mihail carries her to the car, ignoring the pain from the acid that is eating away at his legs. When he reaches the car, the man collapses on the hood. Selma has to drag her father in by herself. By the morning, the man's pants were corroded by the acid, and his legs received a severe chemical burn. A passing military APC spots them, and the soldiers take them to a refugee camp. There, Selma learns that there is no news from her uncle, and Karen, who they are in such a hurry to reach, has died. After that, the girl goes to the room where Mihail is lying. She tells him that there is no news. She puts her head on his chest so that he doesn't see her tears, and the movie ends. What do you think of this movie? Please write in the comments. I will be very interested to read your thoughts about this movie. If you liked the video, please like and comment. See you soon.